Hey guys, welcome to a new edition of Tech Tip Tuesday, where today it's going to be my third and hopefully final video on using Smart Learning Suite online. I've talked about this in two other videos, where in one we kind of talked about how to use a PDF or a Google Slides file and turn that into something for Smart Learning Suite online. The second video was all about just using those Smart Notebook files and how to use those. In both of those videos though, we cover how to make your presentations interactive, so students can be logged into it, interacting, where you can kind of see their progress as they go through. So if you're interested in either of those videos, I will link those below. But in this video, I want to cover specifically different things that you can do with Smart Learning Suite with the resources that they have built in. And so that's kind of the main thing with this, is all those built-in resources, which there's a couple places where you can find built-in resources. Let's kind of hop right over onto it. So on Smart Learning Suite online, when you first get there and you're on this screen, that it shows your name and it shows your class ID, which if you don't remember, that's how your students can get onto the presentation. There's a few areas. There's a place where it says Explore Resources, where if you click on that, it's going to open up a bunch of different things and resources that you can use. A lot of these resources are created by Smart Learning Suite, and you'll kind of see as you go through them underneath, kind of in small letters at the bottom, like this one says shared by Smart Technologies. Some of them are created just by other educators though. So if you see one that says shared by and it gives a person's name, like this one says it's shared by Casey German, I'm not sure how you even say that last name, but anyway, but that's one that's created by another educator. So that might kind of change how you look at this and what you're looking for, but they're both created by the company or created by other teachers. So just something to kind of keep in mind. And a lot of these are a file. If you click on it, it'll show you a nice preview. For example, let's just click on this equal parts one. Oops. And it gives you a little preview of how this is going to work in Smart Learning Suite. It gives you a preview of the different slides at the bottom. You can do a little bit of editing with it here. However, if you want to really use this resource, you're going to click on Save to My Library. I'm not going to click on that right now because it kind of is a lengthy process. It takes all these files and different things and basically gives you a copy. So it takes a minute or so. So when you click on that, it'll save to your library and then you can use it on your own. You can edit it, you can move things around, you can add more interactive pages or take some of those out, but it's a great way to get some of those resources. Let me back out of this. The other thing is, in this section, is there's this area that talks about collections. And this is kind of where I like to go a lot when I click on this resources page. There's a lot of really interesting things here. There's distance learning stuff, so that's kind of more if you're doing the remote learning setting. Manipulatives, there's a lot of great stuff for math, but there's also some things for ELA and other subject areas. Emotional literacy, that's kind of your like SEL stuff. And then this manage your classroom. So that's kind of neat. There's different tools for having like a class calendar or a schedule or kind of how you would manage your class where students can interact with it. I really like the manipulatives though, so I'm going to click on that right now. And there's a lot of really neat things in this section that you can use as well. So if I scroll through, one of them that I like quite a bit, and I just think it's fun, I guess, is this fridge magnets, which is really more of an ELA thing. I would say the majority of these are more math based, but the fridge magnets, you click on it. Again, it's just going to sort of show me this little preview, what's on each slide. There's really only one slide here, but basically this is just a tool you can give to your students where they're going to get this, or you can display it on your smartboard, however you would like to use it. And then they'll be able to click on those different letters and drag them over, just like they were writing words on their refrigerator with magnets. And they're set up where they're like an infinite clone. If you're familiar with how that works in Smart Notebook, it basically means that every time you drag one over, there's still going to be one there to drag another one over. So there's just a lot of neat things you can do with this. You can give it to your students. You can have them spell different words. You can have them, practice writing their name or practice spelling, spelling words or certain things that you are currently working on, or sounds or word groupings or letter groupings. But it's just kind of a neat tool. So same thing with this, you would click Save to My Library. It'll take a minute or so, it'll go to your library. Actually, I will do this one to kind of show you how this works. So you can see it says it's processing. And then when it gets into my library, I do still have to make it interactive. So if I decide I want to use this with my students, I click that Save to My Library. Now it says it's there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click Edit because I want to edit it. And I could do this too from my library. So if I went back to that home page and I saw this in my library of things, I can click on Edit from there. So now it's showing me this is where I can manipulate this and kind of do different things with it. The title slide, I really don't need to do much with. But when I click on this slide that actually is the magnets, I have a couple of decisions I have to make. So first of all, I need to decide how I'm going to convert this to an activity. Do I want each student to be able to do this individually on their own device? Or do I just want it for my smartboard where I can use it? Or do I want to make it collaborative where all the students are basically working on the same thing? It just depends on how you want to use it. I would assume if I was using this in a classroom setting, I would most likely use this as an individual activity. So when I click on Convert to Activity, I'm going to select this top thing that says make this page an individual handout activity. And so then I can see that it is put in as a handout. So now when I project this on my screen and my students are logged in on their own device, they will have, I'll show you this preview, this exact screen where they will be able to click on any of these letters and they can drag them over and do whatever they want. So, however you want to do any of this stuff. So you would drag the letters over however you want to tell them to do that. So that kind of gives you that little preview. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of the preview and I'm going to click Finish Editing. And so I can see that here again, like I said, in my home page, I've got that in as just something that I just worked on. And that will always sort of be in my library here on my home page. The other place where you can get some really great resources, and quite honestly, I'm not really sure why these two things are in the same place, but that's just how this website is organized, is when you click on Add Activities, it's going to give you a few options. Now this is the same thing when I showed you how to import a Google Slides file or a PDF. This is the same thing you would click on. You'd click that Add Files, import a resource, or even if you had a Smart Notebook file, you would go about it the same way to get it into your library here. However, there's a bunch of other things that you can add, and you can add these things within an existing presentation. So if you already had a Google Slides thing put together, or if you had a Smart Notebook file put together, you can add resources from the editing page for this as well. So, and I'll show you that here in a second also, but just to kind of walk through what these different things are, these different resources they have. There's a few different activity templates first that it gives you. So this Shout It Out is a thing, it actually reminds me a lot of Padlet, if you've ever used Padlet as a resource within your class. Basically, you would give the students a prompt, maybe just ask them how their weekend was, or say one thing that you hope to do over summer break or something. And the students will have an area where they can type a response or even just put a picture. It doesn't even have to be actual text. And then it just sort of pops up on the screen as they answer. So that's the Shout It Out thing. So that could be used in a variety of ways, however you want to do that. But it's kind of make it be almost like your screen is a message board, and as the students type something or input something, it'll show up on the main screen in the room. The response is kind of like a quiz almost. You can use this as a great tool for formative assessment. So maybe you are working on a lesson and you've delivered a bunch of content and you just want to find out where they are with things. You can give a couple questions. They can be put in as multiple choice, as like a response. a written response, but there's a few different tools for that. So it's just kind of a whole class, like little assessment tool. And I would feel like that's great for formative assessment. There's also this game-based activities, which I'm gonna go ahead and click on that one just because it's really interesting. This is a really fun way to integrate some fun tools with your content. So you'll see there's a whole bunch of different game-based activity templates, kind of depending on what your content is and how you want to gauge their understanding will change, what you pick for these things. I really liked, I was kind of playing with this the other day, this match one where it's kind of like the matching game where you have all these cards and you flip one over and it has something on it. You're looking for the one that it goes with. And you can basically, like if I clicked on that, it's gonna walk me through. So I can add some categories. This can be by text or it can be by image. So, depending on your grade level or depending on the content you're looking at here, it might work easier to have a picture or it might work easier just to have text. If you do pick the picture option, one thing I like about this is you don't just have to have all these pictures already. You can search for pictures online to add. So you can just do a search. You don't just have to have all these pictures already. So that's kind of a nice tool with that. However, if you do have pictures already, you can select images and kind of import those through this and build it that way. But this is just a really fun tool to add that as a game. And then when it's delivered to the students, either they can work on it individually, like each kid can be doing the memory game on their own device, or you could put it up on the screen and it could be a big collaborative thing that you guys are doing as a class. So there's just a lot of options for these different games. I'm gonna exit out of this. We're going to discard our changes. I'm gonna click back on that add activities. But there's just a bunch of really neat things in that game-based activities. So I highly encourage you to kind of hop into there and explore it because there's just so many different things depending on, like I said, depending on your content or what your grade level, different ones of those are gonna be a lot more applicable to you. Underneath, there is this ready-made resources area. Again, there's a section for manipulatives. Like I said, I don't know why these are different manipulatives than the ones in that other resources section. I kind of wish they just had the same ones. I don't know why they don't. But there are a lot of neat things in there. You can use this just like you did with the other ones. It will automatically import into your presentation you're putting together. So these are a lot of math. Manipulatives work really great with math. There is this calendar one, so I guess that's a little bit different. I like the fraction tiles. The clocks are pretty neat. So there is this making words one. So there's a lot of different things here with these manipulatives as well that you can add. So again, you would just click on any of these. So say I want these pattern blocks. If I click on that, it's just going to immediately put that into this presentation that I'm building. So I've got it here. I would need to, again, convert it to an activity. So if I want it to be individual or if I want it to be all group, I need to make that decision. Probably this one you'd want individual, but again, it just sort of depends. Then, so here, as I'm building a presentation, if I want to add more of those resources, if I click on this plus sign down at the bottom, kind of underneath where it would show my slides, it's going to bring me back to that same window where I can add content. So again, if I want to add another slide with manipulatives, maybe one of the other ones, or there's a lot of nice things here in the graphic organizers, depending on, again, what you're really doing. Let me get back. But, or these other two ready-made areas, or any of the other activity templates, that's kind of how you can add those resources right into your presentation. However, this is the one thing I'm not super fond about with this. I'm going to click Finish Editing. If you find resources here in this Explore Resources section, which there's a bunch of great resources here, these ones do have to be used individually. For whatever reason, I can't click on these manipulatives and have these just inserted right into a presentation I'm working on. It has to be kind of a standalone thing. Or it can be something that you start with. So I'm not really sure why it's designed that way, but just to kind of be aware, the ones that you can get in this Explore Resources section don't pop into your other areas, but they can be used on their own. So those are just some of the great resources that you can get here on Smart Learning Suite Online. There are so many neat things you can do with this tool. Again, as I showed in previous videos, it's such a great resource getting students into it and also engaged in your lesson where they are interacting with it and using it on their own. So please watch those videos if you want to see how to get students involved. If you have any more questions about this tool, please let me know, and have a great rest of the week.